All right, because I'm not going to be here later on, I'm going to go ahead and do this for my third class. Day 4, number 1, what best describes what would happen if decomposers were removed from an ecosystem? Grayson. No, if the decomposers are gone, the soil is not good. You would not have too many producers. D, the ecosystem would fail to support the organisms it contains. That is 100% true. All right, number 2, what statement best describes what an ocean and pond have in common? This is a little bit ahead of where we are, but we're getting to this stuff today. Emery. It is not D. They are not, so D. They are both ecosystems that support the same kind of plants. If you go to a pond and you go to an ocean, you go see the same kind of plants? No. All right, so let's think about that. Put your hands down. Emery, let's come up with a different answer. Do oceans and ponds, A, do they rely on each other? They do not, so it's not A, it's not D. Both ecosystems support human and animal life. C, they're both ecosystems that support plants, animals, and microorganisms. C is the best answer to that one. Number 3, what is a group of organisms that make up the largest part of a food chain? We did this yesterday. It's the bottom of that food pyramid. These make up the largest part of a food chain. Izzy. Not decomposers. Not consumers. It's the producers. The plants are the biggest part of the food chain. Remember the bottom of the pyramid yesterday? Mostly plants. That's what that's about. Number 4, what can be concluded about the trees that grow in a temperate, deciduous forest? Hint, we live in a deciduous forest. Audrey. C, the trees have adapted to the change of seasons. We're actually kind of seeing that going on right now. Put your name and your number at the top of the paper. I need one person from each desk. We do this every week. One person from each desk. Turn those into the correct bin now, please. All right, so over the past few days, we have started talking about everything from abiotic factors, biotic factors, producers, consumers, decomposers, scavengers. We have talked about limiting factors. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about limiting factors, the things that influence the growth and survival of plants and animals in their environment. We talked about habitat, carrying capacity, how much an ecosystem can carry. All of those words, you could take every single one of those, and if you start listing out very specific biotic factors and very specific abiotic factors, and you talk about very specific limiting factors, you will eventually narrow that down to a very specific biome, and we are going to start off with the terrestrial biomes. Terrestrial biomes, and you need to put this in your notebook, they mean land biomes. So we will not be doing ponds, we will not be doing lakes, rivers, streams, estuaries, and oceans. We're going to talk about all of the land biomes. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that into our notes. Now, terrestrial might be one that you want to write in a very specific color. Because it has to do with land, I feel like there are 2 very good colors that we could go with that. I'm okay with either one of those. What color, when I'm talking about land, comes to your mind, Izzy? Green, all right? I'm okay with green. I'm okay with brown. I think both of those are effective colors. I don't care which one. If one of those means more than the other to you, then write it in that. Green and brown definitely mean land to me, so I can understand that. Terrestrial, having to do... All right. Our first terrestrial biome that we are going to study is the grasslands. Now, when we are talking about these different things, obviously we're going to list the abiotic factors of a grassland. How intense is the sun? How much water and rain do they get? What are the average temperatures? What is the soil like? But we're also going to talk about the biotic factors. And you have to be able to list the plants and animals of these different places. I think this one is the easiest. Who can tell me what the number 1 plant life in the grasslands is? Grass, right? I mean, you don't have to think very hard on that one. The main plant life in this biome is grass. If there is a lot of grass, and I mean a lot of grass, what do you think the soil is like? We were doing the test in the window of good soil and bad soil. What do you think the soil is like in a grassland, Audrey? Very, very good soil. Very good soil in a grassland. We're going to look at two different grasslands. We're going to look at the prairie, which is in North America where we live, and we're going to look at the savanna, the grasslands in Africa, and we're going to look at how those two are similar and how those two are different. But to begin with, the most important life in this is grass. Again, we've talked about how grasslands have very dark, nutrient-rich soil. They are very, very good for growing. We'll see, I'm sure, in one of the videos or in the notes, that in the middle of America, where we have a lot of these prairies and grasslands, they call that the breadbasket of America. And the reason why they call that is because they grow a lot, and I mean a lot, of wheat there, the type of grass. And then that wheat is then in turn processed and helps turn it into some bread for us, which is something that we all need to have in our lives. Grasslands. All right. We have to talk about the 4 abiotic factors of the grasslands. I've already mentioned that the soil is fantastic, and it is fantastic because it grows a lot of grass. That's one of the experiments that we do in the window. We also have to talk about the temperature, talk about the amount of sunlight that it gets, and we have to talk about how much water it gets. So sun, soil, temperature, and water are going to be, we're going to talk about that for all of them when we go through them. Do you have to memorize that it can be more than 100 degrees in the summer and cold? No, you don't have to memorize all that. You just have to understand that the grassland climate can have pretty hot summers and pretty cold winters. That's it. That part you don't have to memorize. This you do have to memorize. You would think that a grassland gets a ton of rain, wouldn't you? It actually doesn't get a ton of rain. It gets enough rain to support grass, not enough rain to support trees. Like, we get a lot of rain. Trees need a ton of rain. There's not enough rain in a grassland for trees to live. Are there some trees there? Of course there are some trees there. Just not swaths of forests that you might find in other places because there's not enough rain. The abiotic factors of the grasslands. We're looking at sun, soil, temperature, and water. I'll get into the sunlight more when it really makes a huge difference, Jackson. Right now, the sunlight is, it's sunlight. It's not like the tundra where it's barely glancing off of the earth and very, not intense. It's not like the sunlight at the equator in the rainforest where the sun is the most intense. We're talking about these are in the mid-latitudes. The sunlight is sunlight. However, the soil is very important. Fantastic growing soil. The temperature. You're going to have hotter summers and cold winters for the most part, at least what we're talking about now. And then the water, the rainfall. There is enough for the grasses to grow, but there is not enough for trees. And that one is one that you might even want to put a star by because I feel like that one pops up very often. Not enough rainfall to support tree growth. Now, if I'm looking at the information on this screen and it says much of the average precipitation, the 20 to 35 inches a year, falls as snow in the winter, obviously this grassland that we are talking about right now is not the savanna in Africa, correct? We don't see a lot of lions running around in the snow, so this is a different grassland we're talking about right now, so don't get those confused. I probably, but very rarely, I'm certain. All right. Grasses are dominant. Duh, we've already wrote that down. Trees and large shrubs, you can find some. Shrubs are like big bushes, but they're not abundant because there's not enough water, especially for the trees. There are many species of grass, wild oats and buffalo grass. Animals eat the grasses. So in a grassland, what type of consumer do you think I have the most of? Mostly herbivores. But if there's a lot of herbivores, guess what else is going to move in? That love to eat herbivores. Carnivores are going to move in. Or omnivores. Somebody's like, I can eat grass or I can eat a rabbit. I'll take both of those. Sure. It's something to think about as we talk about these. Grass has a very unique adaptation. And this is an adaptation that I'm sure myself and your dads and grandpas hate. They have a very, very low growth point. Meaning, I can chop my grass really low to the ground and it's still going to grow back. Meaning, we have to mow every weekend, sometimes 2 times a week when it rains a lot. Grass has a unique adaptation. It grows very low. So that means, Jackson, even in these wildfires that we see in Africa or we see here, and the whole field of grass burns down, the spot where grass grows is even lower than that. It's all going to grow back. So even if your dad went outside on a Saturday and he is just done with mowing and he took a flamethrower to the whole front yard, it's still going to grow back. Is it going to take a while? Yes. But boy, would he be frustrated about 2 months later when all that grass is right there and he has to mow again. So again, that is a very unique adaptation of grass though, right? It's able to grow back, meaning when all the animals come out there and chomp on it, it's going to grow back again. That's necessary. Think about what would happen if the grass disappeared. What would your house look like if when the cows ate the grass, it never grew back? Right? He's got his eyes are like, I don't know what we would do. We have to have all that grass because he has cows at his house. More feed, but that would be expensive, right? Would make farming very expensive. Again, very unique adaptation of the grasses, the fact that they are able to grow back very quickly. We'll have to watch this later on. Can't do this stuff while we're doing a video for YouTube, obviously. All right, grassland animals. Those are not otters. We're talking about grasslands. Otters live in the water. Grasslands. Here are their animals. Can I go hide in a tree when an animal comes through to eat me in a grassland? Are there trees? No, not many. Where do most of these animals go that live in the grasslands to get away from the things that are trying to eat them, Brantley? Under the ground. Most of them. Unless you are a deer or something and you have very long legs and you are fast, you need to go underground. So again, these are all important adaptations for grassland animals. All right, so I need to take some notes on the adaptations that plants and animals have in the grasslands. All right, so I'm going to put this on our anchor chart in just a second, but I'm just going to talk us through these notes on the board here. I have adaptations to live in a grassland. Now, do I need to be able to survive super high heat like they have in the desert? Do I need to be able to adapt to super high heat? No. Do I need to adapt to little to no rain like the desert? Is it freezing cold like the tundra? No. There's lots of grass. There's not a lot of shelter in places. So if I am an animal, an herbivore, a prey, I need to either A, be fast, like a deer. I have long legs and I'm fast. Or B, I can live underground like the prairie dogs do. You have to be able to adapt to those areas. If I am a plant, grasses have a very low growth point. They can grow back after being eaten by animals or burned by a fire. Oh, my bad. Again, if you're watching this, like rewatching it, or you're at home watching it, you can pause and get these notes. The adaptations is plants has a low growth point. They can grow back after being eaten or burned by fire. And animals are fast and have long legs to get through the grass, or they live underground like the prairie dogs do. We're going to watch a video about the prairie dogs in a few minutes. Not right now, though, because I can't watch that. That would be copyright infringement. There's a lot of stuff there. All right, grasslands anchor chart notes. This is the stuff that we should have on our anchor chart. Let's see how close we are. The most important plant life is grass. Do we have that? Yeah. Check. Climate, 2 main seasons, summer and winter. Hot in the summer and cold in the winter. Yeah. We've got that. Soil, very good soil. Do we have that? Check, we have that. Plants, as stated, the main plant life is grass. They can adapt because they grow back after fires and being eaten. Do we have that? Check. Animals, lots of herbivores. Long, strong legs of deer because they can get away from predators, and groundhogs and prairie dogs live underground. Do we have all of that on our anchor chart notes for the prairie, the grasslands of America? Yes. Check, we sure do. So I'm going to say smash the like button and subscribe to the folks on here.